Welcome everybody. We've got the people who are present. We have an apology from Councillor Dalrymple. Leave Officers Media Representative, welcome Chris Oldfield. Welcome to the July General Meeting of the Naracoorte-Leeshendale Council, where we acknowledge and respect our complex history, and we welcome everyone to build our future together. Live streaming. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed, recorded and published in accordance with the Council's live streaming and recording of public meetings policy. To those present in the gallery, by attending a public meeting of Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. I ask for any elected members' declaration of interest. Being none, we have no one from a public forum, and we do not have any petitions or deputations. I'd ask if item 5, someone would move that the minutes of the June 25th meeting be taken as read and confirmed. Councillor Dennis, Councillor Goodman, all those in favour? Carried. Matters laid on the table. Item 6. The matter laid on the table is in relation to the public consultation and community engagement policy. I ask if that will remain on the table and be dealt with at the August meeting. That's not, we're not looking to move that unless someone would like to pull it out of matters laid on the table. Councillor Ross.
I just
Councillor Ross.
Part of the meeting last
Yes.
month, it was there was going to be discussions with the staff in regards to what was, has there been any meetings at all?
Yep. So in fact, that discussion has happened, Councillor Ross, and it has been agreed that we'll attend to that once again. So there's been discussion between Councillor Goodman and Councillor Maguire, and at the time that that discussion was happening, in fact, Mrs Collins was on leave, so we'll get that to happen and we will conclude it prior to the August meeting. Thank you for your question. Item 7, Mayoral report. I actually think I may have missed the LCLGA meeting at Tatiara out of my report, so I'll look to put that in as amendment. I'd also just like to make mention of going to Canberra for the Australian Local Government Association meeting. I spent 2 days there, the Tuesday and the Wednesday. It's a pretty big deal. It was opened by the new Governor General, I think it's Sue Moyston. She's the new Governor General, and she spoke very eloquently about the way that community leaders should lead and care about and care for and about their community that they are responsible for. And that actually fed quite nicely into the Welcome to Country, which was given by Paul, I was going to say Dennis, but I don't think it was. But it's certainly in the notes, and that was also around caring for country and also caring about their community, and that was taken on board as a general theme by the ALGA. I think further to that, if any of you had taken the opportunity to read any of the reports that I've added in as an appendix, I think the financial sustainability of Australian local governments is quite valuable. You can get an idea from the executive report, and the National State of Assets Report 24 is a very simple document which highlights specific areas, whether they be roads, bridges, parks, etc., that local governments have. We are the custodians of most probably $650 billion worth of assets, and we try and deal with that with about less than $60 billion worth of income totally. It also points out that most probably less than less than 10% of the assets overall. And this is pretty much Eastern States assets. I see that it doesn't actually pertain to South Australia, so mainly Eastern States assets are in poor condition. But overall, the condition of the assets are generally very good across the nation, or across the eastern seaboard at least. And there's also discussion that you'll notice about sustainability. The sustainability of councils, especially in the eastern states, has where their rate revenue accounted for between 70 and 80% of income. Today it's more like 60. So, there's a more reliance on grant income from the federal government, and that income that we've been receiving from federal government has been declining against tax take over the last decade or so. So we're certainly struggling to get grant income. And as we would all be aware, you'll note in the report that the cost shifting from state and federal governments to local governments, and that is, some local governments take it up. It's not something that is in our space largely, and you'd need a very large bucket of money to come with that to make it sustainable for this particular local government. But I do ask you to definitely look at those couple of reports. I think they are quite valuable in respect to the way we sit as a local government within the bigger picture. So I have moved that. I'd ask for a seconder for that report. Questions, of course.
You've made a comment or you've made reference in there that you met with our local member Nick McBride. So what did you get out of the meeting, or how often are you catching up with him?
Yes, thank you. And I had a meeting with Nick. I had a telephone conversation with Nick McBride only this afternoon again. This afternoon it was around local government issues and also around the community health. I also spoke with him about the new local policeman, and whether the state minister would be able to come down when he was, when he had settled in, and we could have a bit of a celebration around that.
Further question. So, with your discussions, have you heard anything about some of the issues that we're dealing with within our area, is in regards to the NRLE? So, in regards to ear tags and things like that. So,
no, Mr. McBride hasn't mentioned anything around that.
I just think that he's someone we need to be putting a bit of pressure on to try to work out how we can get some resolutions there with that from a local level.
I can assure you, Councillor Ross, that the gentleman on my left is working extremely hard, and Mr. Willsmore, to get a real, and who knows what the result will be, but I can assure you they are both working extremely hard in that space.
I hope he is as well. So
I hope he is?
Mr. McBride is as well.
Well, we hope Mr. McBride is too. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Dillon. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. We didn't receive any elected members' reports. Move to item 9. Mr. Smart.
Thank you. First item in my report is the Riverside Drive extension that came from May 2024 council meeting with the resolutions to look at the land between the end of Riverside and Sandstone. So as included in my report, there is some interest, and two landowners. One is interested, one is not, which makes it difficult at all. The other part was the rail corridor, which I provided information there. No great surprise that don't want to sell any of the rail corridor, and that's pretty well their standard approach across the state. But we can make licensing arrangements, as we do with our various users of the rail corridor, wherever that may be. For information and thought, I provided a cost estimate. If we were to be able to attain both parcels of land in between the end of Riverside and Sandstone, so the cost estimate is there for your consideration. And I guess from here, I guess seeking what does council wish to do with this information, whether it wants to just leave it as is or wishes to pursue it any further. Happy to take any questions or thoughts. So, or if there is none, I'll move on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Councillor Turner.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Mr. Smart. I thought it was a good report, good research, and I appreciated the printout. It gives me, as a councillor, an idea of the land that we're talking about. I think if we're playing the long game, and council does play a long game, has long-term financial plans that go 10 years, and we think, 10 and 20 and 30 and 50 years into the future, that I think that corridor, to open that up through Riverside Drive out to Sandstone Avenue, would actually be worth looking at. So I don't know that I want to take it any further tonight, and I don't. I just wanted to acknowledge that the work that you've done is excellent, and I'm interested if other councillors are interested to keep talking about it, because I think it's an opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Turner.
Thank you. Next item, Local Government Association calling for nominations for the LGA President nomination. This coming term will be from an elected mayor from Metro, so it doesn't apply to us, but we are still able to nominate someone if we wish. SAROC nomination, that does apply to us. Details all within the report there. LCLGA approach, which doesn't align with the LGA constitution approach yet. Hopefully that will be amended hopefully within the next 12 months. But we are able to nominate a member to SAROC, and that can be an elected member, mayor, or from this council or another. LCLGA generally takes a view that the president and vice president occupy those places, but as I put in my report, other councils have nominated other elected members along the way. If there are more nominations than the two, elections held through the LCLGA, where each council gets to have its vote on the matter. So my recommendation is that we nominate Mayor Liz Goosens from Tatiara. Happy to take questions, comments, or otherwise.
Councillor Turner.
I really enjoyed reading the report. It was informative, and I think the recommendation is actually a very sensible one. I'd be happy to move that.
Councillor Turner moves. Councillor Turner move that we support the SAROC nomination. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ross. Thank you, Councillor Ross. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Carried, thank you.
And I did run the opportunity to nominate with our mayor, but there seemed to be a lack of interest for that at this time. Is that right? The final part of my report is the Liftar Rec Reserve leases. Been a long project, way before my time all this started, so worked over a number of months with both the football club, netball club, cricket club and other users of the Rec Reserve. Two draft leases are attached to that report, which both clubs have agreed to. So the process from here is that we're required under the Act to go to public consult. The clubs are well aware of that. So once, if council endorses this report tonight, they'll be made aware of that. Hopefully they'll help with the public consult from that perspective in the Lucindale community as well. There's a licence that has been provided to the Show Society for their consideration rather than a lease. That's looking more short term, but probably with a view to, I think there's some acceptance across the clubs and various users that shed may have to come down in the short term. They don't appear that confident of getting funding to put a new shed, but there may be some other arrangements that come to the fore. So happy to take any questions, but recommendations are there for the leases to go to public consult, and then they'll come back to council for consideration.
I'd just like to mention that as the Chamber would recall, we had Sam Gratz in here making a statement around it, and at that time I suggested we should try and have this concluded by the 30th of June, and I think that the goodwill that's been shown by the football club, the netball club, and may I say the negotiator, it's come together really well. So congratulations to all those involved. Questions? Councillor Goodman.
Just a quick question, comment first of all, it's really great, like you said, to see this moving forward and providing some assurity both for council and for the clubs. Just interested to know, once the work on the licence with the Show Society is finalised, does that also need to go to public consultation or not as a licence?
Short answer, no, the licence won't need to.
Yeah.
No. It's only a very short-term arrangement. Yep.
Thank you. I'm happy to move that motion as is.
Any questions? Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'll need my binoculars to view you from here, but there we go. In the meantime, I've spoken with a number of office bearers at Lucendale with regard to the respective sporting committees, and they seem to me to be very happy with the way it's progressing. And so while they're happy, I'm happy. So, yep.
Excellent. Councillor Crosling.
No, I was just happy to second it. That was all.
Okay. Moved Councillor Goodman, second Councillor Crosling. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much.
And just a list of other meetings, activities, and I'll be on leave next week with Mr McCrosty, Acting CEO, so as I always encourage. Any hard questions would be good in that week.
Just a week.
Item 10, key projects. Mr Willsmore.
Thank you. Early on into the financial year, but just an acknowledgement of how dry it is. We've been installing culverts for our capital works program this week, which is highly unusual for us to be doing it in mid-July. Happy to take questions on the report.
Mr Willsmore, if I may, I've got a Kelly question coming up tomorrow morning. I was wondering whether you have any thoughts about what the swimming lake, the remediation work, what are your thoughts in that area?
We're currently seeking prices on those works there, but that's to seal part of the lake. It's a staged approach, but to seal the lake, we've had a bit more of some black spot algae coming through the concrete, sticking the concrete in the porous surface, so sealing it. We'll protect that and we'll target some of the areas around the kids area first. That's where we get a number of complaints there. There's a different concrete which is laid at a different time, and that seems to get a bit more slipperier. So that will be done prior to the opening of the lake this season.
Thank you, Mr Willsmore. Any questions of Mr Willsmore? Right. Move on to the next item. Item 11. Mrs Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Nothing further to add other than it's a quarterly report. Just on the investments, we have one fixed investment left in the 1% range, so that maturing in November will then bring us back to much more realistic investment level. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Miss Edmonds? How do you think rate arrears is generally tracking?
Yes, so we did a bit of groundwork which I was going to present in the upcoming workshop or next month. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. So in general, we've found since 2020 the arrears has gone down by about 1% a year. So quite happy with that as far as that's going.
Tracking in the right direction.
Yes.
Excellent. 11.2, budget update.
So our first budget review is our carryovers from our previous financial year. Details as per the table. Plant machinery, we're looking at the delay in delivery. They were all ordered relatively early in the financial year, and the projects for one reason or another that are being carried over. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Miss Edmonds? Being none, would someone like to move that council endorses? Councillor Ross? Councillor in a seconder? Councillor Dennis? All those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Minutes and recommendations, 12.1. The minutes of the Strat Plan. Would someone like to move that the minutes of the Strat Plan of the 9th of July? Moved. Councillor Ross. Councillor Turner, thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Would someone like to move that there be no further assessment Marambro Lane McEwen's road intersection is undertaken? That, of course, relates to design and other things that were talked about at the Strat Plan. Councillor Crosling? Councillor Dennis? Any further discussion? There being none, I put it. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That all exotic woody weeds, including trees, be removed to maintain creek function prior to weir construction. Someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Goodman. A seconder, Councillor Ireland. Councillor Turner.
Just a question, just reading that now, is there, I know we moved that at the meeting as is, but is there a specific zone, because the creek is a bit longer than where the weirs are going, do we need to have a point of start and enter, or is Mr Billsmore happy that the motion is as it's written?
Mr Willsmore.
Thank you, good question. The woody weeds, the restoration plan that we've created in 2016 identifies the area, so we'll stick with that, which is from the Dartmoor side of the creek to the North Parkland, so we'll focus on that area.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Would someone like to move the open space management plan in regard to lighting of all ability standard pathways? Councillor Crosling. Thank you. Councillor Ross. Any discussion? Being none. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Reports for decision.
Thank you.
Smart.
Policy reviews, the two policies in front of you for recommendation for endorsement. The procurement policy, which is really an update from a process and a bit of administrative changes mainly. Happy to take questions on that. The second one is a recognition of employee matters that was generated from an Ombudsman report on another council, with the Ombudsman having various views on spend of public monies towards such events. So we've reviewed our approach and suggested some changes there, but also suggested that we retain some small recognition of various events, plus the end of year function that council staff and elected members attend. So local government generally were in opposition to the Ombudsman's views. We didn't think he had an understanding of how difficult it is to attract and retain staff in regional areas in particular, and the level of spend across 5 years that we've had is very minimal as opposed to the benefits that we can. So I commend both policies to you as per the recommendations. Happy to take questions.
Do we have any questions of Mr Smart?
I'd like to move the motion as written.
Councillor Dennis moved. Councillor Goodman, second. There being no questions, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. 13.2, land lease for the Lucendale CFS shed.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. As the report's written, we're looking to formalise the lease between the Minister for Police and Emergency Services and the land under the site on Gum Avenue, on the corner of Gum Avenue and Banksia Street. This one differs slightly in that with state government, the lease document is often prepared by the state body rather than the local government version that we use. So hence a little bit of a delay in the process. So looking for another 21 years plus 21, as well as the mayoral seal to be placed on there. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Maguire moves to that effect. Councillor Crosling. I think it's been some time since there has been a lease.
Yes, this one's taken.
It's well overdue. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Here we are. Review of confidential items. So I ask that with a meeting move into confidence.
No, you don't have to go on
Are we there?
confidence. No, you don't have to go on confidence.
Oh, we don't have to? Okay.
Moving him out.
I'll report, righto. Ms Collins, sorry. Ms Collins, I apologise. I'll move you on.
This is just a very simple 12-month review, which we're legislated to do. So very easy. We've released a lot of items from confidence over the last few months, which has been great. And obviously we'll continue to look at the ones that are in confidence in 12 months' time again, or if not sooner. That is all.
Thank you, Mrs Collins. I did actually ask a question to the CEO around the matters in confidence. I'm pleased that we have removed some after all that time, so well done, everybody. Someone like to move to that effect, that we have those? Councillor Ross, a seconder, please. Councillor Crosling, all those in favour? Thank you, very carried. Reports for information. Anything to add?
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Willsmore. Any questions of Mr Willsmore? Councillor Dennis.
Just in relation to our last meeting, when we discussed the work order procedure, have we had an influx of work orders after our explanation of the process?
Had quite a few delivered from Councillor Rayner this afternoon. So, yep. At 7? 6? 10 was it? There you go.
On a computer and everything.
No, on paper.
Item 14.2, planning and compliance. Mr McCroskey.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Ross. Just quickly, you'll note in regards to the North Parklands, Council was fortunate enough to gain some grassroots funding money through Landscapes SA. We're currently in the process of speaking to another external agency for some possible further funding for weed management and some possible native tree plantings in the North Parklands.
Thank you, Any questions of Mr McCroskey? Being none. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, 14.3, engagement community report. Mrs Collins.
Nothing further, thank you, Mayor Ross. Just an information report.
Thank you. Any questions of Mrs Collins? Councillor Crosling.
More a comment just to thank the staff at the library and council for all their hard work during the school holidays. Yet again, there was lots of programs on throughout the area. There was movies held at the town hall, which they put on an extra 4, 5, 6 movies because they were so well attended. But there was obviously lots of stuff on at the library throughout the school holidays, which was great for the bad weather for families to be able to get out. So just thank you to all the staff for their hard work.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. And I had the pleasure of speaking with the manager last week and talking over many issues, and he's really looking forward. He's looking forward to the job he's got, and I think we can look forward to our library being a very, it already is a very community orientated place, but I think Adrian will bring even more into that space. So, and I've asked him with the CEO's authorisation to come when he's across his portfolio and present to the council on what he sees for the future of the library. So we can look forward to that. Item 15, I don't think we have any things there. Questions with notice? Being none. Motions with notice. 17.1. Councillor Goodman. Councillor Goodman.
Speak to that.
Yes, if you would like to move it.
I would like to move it and speak to it.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Moved. And now you may speak.
Thank you. I think these came off the back of the discussion at a last meeting where Councillor Maguire was pointing out that we get a large amount of engagement through our live streaming at our monthly meetings, and when we take these meetings to Lucindale and Francis, it doesn't provide the opportunity for online viewers to watch or watch back when it gets posted to YouTube. So I asked Ms Jericho and Mr Dreslin about the opportunity to do Facebook Lives of those meetings at the locations. I think, as I put in my email in the correspondence, would be a cost in terms of purchasing some microphones to make sure that the audio would be appropriate. That's around $400. They were clear that obviously the video won't be as good, which can only be expected, but it would be dependent on the internet speeds at Francis. Early indications is that it could probably support it, but I think some more investigations were going to be done, and I'm not sure if that's occurred yet. So I think if the internet is up to scratch, that I'd like to have those Facebook Live for those meetings. Yes.
Councillor Maguire.
I'm happy to second that, Mayor, and
You can speak as well.
Oh, if that's sorry, is that okay? Yeah, and I have had discussion with Councillor Goodman, and it's definitely worth giving it the opportunity, and just hope we can get the right internet out there for it to work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Any further discussion? Councillor Turner?
Yeah, look, I think even if the internet speed wasn't adequate, there'd be certainly nothing wrong with recording the meeting and putting it up later on Facebook. So either way, I don't think that should hold us up.
It's recorded, that's a good thing. Councillor Crosling?
I'm happy to support the motion only if we do purchase some microphones to go along with it. Facebook Live does not provide adequate sound. I tried to watch the Rome Obelisk meeting on live Facebook last Wednesday, whenever that was, and the quality on the live Facebook feed was horrendous. You couldn't hear anything. So as long as we can make sure that the sound quality is good, I'm happy to support that.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Mr Smart.
Just to provide information, Ms Collins done quite a bit of good research, and so we won't be purchasing any equipment, but we'll contract out to people that do our Australia Day live streaming. It's cheaper and probably more effective, better quality, so that will deliver what the motion suggests.
And they may come with their own internet as well.
They'll come with all their own equipment. It's cheaper and better.
Excellent. So the motion is still a good one?
Yep.
Excellent, because it's got you doing something, Mr Smart. Excellent. All those in favour? Carried. And Councillor Goodman.
I'd like to move and speak to this too, please.
Yes. Councillor Goodman moves.
Similar theme, this time around the strategic asset and planning meeting. I know that there has been discussion around whether or not it's time to start live streaming those as we do these meetings, and I think it is important that we do. Even tonight we've had recommendations that came from SAP around which there was no discussion in this meeting because it's already been had, but doesn't provide any context to the community around, you know, what decision has been made and why. And so for that reason, I'd like to move that we start live streaming and recording those meetings in the same fashion that we do these.
Seconder, please. Councillor Ross. Discussion?
Yes.
Councillor Maguire.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to support Councillor Goodman. I think it's long overdue. There is so much missing information that comes out of the strategic asset planning meetings that I think the community will find very valuable. So I welcome the motion.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Is there any further discussion? There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I have no questions without notice. I have no motions without notice. I have matters that the CEO recommends in confidence. I would thank you to all those that attended. They've gone